All right, so we are going to review for a quiz. So review for the quiz, and the quiz covers section 5.3 and 5.5. Oops. All right, remember we skipped chapter 5 or section 5.4, okay? It's something that I don't think you guys really need. So we'll just do these two right here. And this is the end of the chapter. So sometime, probably, what did we say? I think we said yesterday, probably Thursday of next week, because I don't want to give a quiz or a test Monday and Tuesday. So, but I'm warning you, I talked about this yesterday. This is probably how we got into the whole college thing. I was trying to remember how that whole talk yesterday started, and now I remembered. It's because we talked about what it's like in college, and then it just went from there. Just all kinds of different directions. So, we probably will, after the quiz, so probably Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to go to chapter 6, and we're going to start chapter 6, okay? And then what we'll do on Wednesday next week, if everything goes as planned, Wednesday we'll have a review for the chapter 5 test, even though we've done some of chapter 6. Everybody understand that? So don't freak out on next Wednesday when I say, okay, we're going to review for a test tomorrow, and you're like, what? How can we have a test and we started chapter 6 already? Well, just got to deal with it. All right, enough of that. So I'll just go in order of the kind of problems that you'll see on the quiz. So here's number 1. I would write this down. Just draw a little triangle. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be to scale or anything like that. Let's put some numbers in here. 12, 14, and 18. So here's the question. The question says, order the angles, and I got to put some letters in here, A, B, C. Order the angles in order from it could go from smallest to largest or largest to smallest. It all depends, okay? Let's just put it in order from the smallest to the largest. So from small to large, okay? The angles, I want to tell which angles is the smallest angle, which one's the medium angle, which one's the largest angle, okay? Not the sides. I mean, you can very easily see which the order of the sides, okay? This side, the 12, is the smallest side. This side right here, the 14 is the middle one, and 18 would be the largest side. But it doesn't say side. It says list the angles, okay, from smallest to largest. Everybody with me? So how many answers are we going to have for this problem? 3 answers, right? Because we got 3 angles, right? We're going to put them in order from the smallest angle all the way up to the biggest angle. Do we just look and say, well, that one looks like it's small. That one looks like it's the biggest one. Is that what we're going to do? Well, maybe some of you are, but you shouldn't do that, all right? How do we know? What's the rule? It's been about a week and a half since we've done this stuff, all right? Maybe more than that. But what do? We look at the sides. First of all, since we're going from small to large, I look at the smallest side. Which one is the smallest side? 12, 14, or 18? 12. And then I look at the angle that's opposite. That's the key. What's the angle that's opposite the smallest side? Angle C. So this one right here is the smallest one. I'll use S for small. Is that all right? So in order, what's our first angle going to be? Angle what? Angle C. And I'll put a comma, and I'll put the next one. What's the next biggest side on this triangle? 14. What angle is opposite side 14? B. That's right. So this one right there, I'll call it M for medium, okay? You don't have to write that, but that's the second one. That's the medium one. So what angle is that? Angle what? Angle B. Now, you really don't have to know anything else. You only have one other choice, don't you, for that third one. What's the other one going to be? Angle A. And how do I know, though, that angle A is the biggest angle? Because it's opposite the what? The biggest side, the 18. You see that? Very simple, okay? It's not that hard at all. You don't really have to know any math. You just have to know what numbers are bigger, which one is the smallest number, which one's the medium number, which one's the biggest number. And then you look opposite. See that? Angle A is opposite the 18. 18 is the biggest side. Angle A is the biggest angle. Now, I could ask you to put it in order from the largest to the smallest. That would be easy once you get this, right? What's the largest angle? Angle A. What's the middle angle? Angle B. What's the smallest angle? Angle C, all right? So I could go either way. Everybody understand that? I'll put a little arrow like that. You could go from small to large, or I could ask from large to small. So make sure that you're careful reading the instructions, all right, to the problem so that you know. It's not hard to do. It's just you got to be careful. Number 2 is very similar to that, very, very close to this, except they don't give you a picture, right? They just give you some information. So here's what they do on this one. They say in triangle RQP, they give you the lengths of different sides. They say that QP is, oops, it's a little squiggly. They say that side QP is 15. They say side RP is 25. And they say that RQ is 13. They don't give you a picture. And they want you to do the same exact thing, though. Okay? They ask you to do the same thing. List the what? What am I listing? The angles in order from smallest to largest, okay? But I don't see any angles here. So what do you think I might want to do? Do what? Draw it. Right. Exactly right. Draw it out. That's exactly what I would do. So again, it doesn't have to be to scale, right? It doesn't have to be like exactly 25 and exactly 15 and exactly 13. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to draw any triangle. It doesn't matter. And I'm just going to label it RQP. And again, it doesn't matter where the R is, the Q is, and the P is. It does not matter. It's just to give me an idea of what angle is opposite what side. Does that make sense? So let's take a look. I've got my triangle. QP is 15. Let's mark it down. This is my QP right here, so I'm going to make that 15. RP is 25. RP, that's this one right here. That's 25. RQ is 13. That's this one right here. That can be very, very helpful. You could do this, and I'll show you a little trick, okay? But I wanted you to see this first. You could do this without using the triangles, all right? But I think for you guys especially, I think it's really important for you to see it, visually see it, just like you did in that first problem, all right? Now it's pretty easy. Which one is the smallest one? What angle is the smallest angle by looking at that triangle? Angle P. All right? Which one's the medium one? R. And which one's the largest one? Q. That's it. I said I was going to tell you a little trick. I'm not going to do that. It didn't really work out the way I thought it was going to work out. So this is the way I would do it. Absolutely, 100% of the time, if I was asked this question, this is what I would do. I would draw out the triangle, put the numbers in here, then look opposite. Why is P the smallest one? Because it's opposite the smallest side, right? 13 is the smallest side, so angle P is the smallest angle. Angle Q is the biggest angle. Why? Because it's opposite the biggest side, the 25, and that's the biggest side. Everybody got it? Yeah, pretty straightforward. Okay. Everybody good with that, right? Now, the next two, if you know how to do that stuff, the next two is just as easy. Because what do you think they're going to do this time on the next problem? They're not going to give you the lengths of the sides. They're going to give you, what is it? The angles. That's right. They're going to give you the angles. They're going to ask you to put the sides in order from the smallest to the largest. All right? So it works the same way. So if you know how to do one of them, you should be able to do all four of them. And that's almost half the quiz right there. So that's nice, isn't it? Yes? No? Maybe? I don't know. My last class wasn't responding to me very well today, so maybe something in the air, maybe. I don't know. All right, so here's what we're going to do. First time they do this, they draw it for you. So I'll draw it like this, and like this. Again, it doesn't have to be drawn to scale. Don't always go by just what angle looks the biggest, because sometimes they're not going to draw it to scale. All right, so sometimes you can't just look at it and say, oh, that definitely looks like the biggest angle. No, go by the numbers, okay? Always go by the numbers. So they say that this angle is 100 degrees. They say that this one is 50 degrees, which that does not look like it's 50, but that's okay. We can still do this. And they give you X, Y, and W. All right, so this time they give you the angles. And what you need to do is figure out what sides is the smallest one, the middle one, and the longest one. Okay? So what do we look at first? Do I look at the sides right away? Nope. I look at the angles. That's right. So if I'm going to put it in, if I go from the smallest to the largest, or on the quiz it'll say the shortest to the longest, the shortest side. Which one's the shortest side? If you were just to guess, look, that side and that side look pretty much the same, don't they? So it's not a good idea to guess, all right? But what you're going to do is you're going to look at the angle. This is the smallest angle. So what side is opposite the smallest angle? XY. So that's what I'm going to write. I'm going to write XY. And I'm going to put a little line over top of it. That means line segment XY. Make sense? Yeah. I tell you what, let's skip the middle one. Let's go to the biggest one. What's the biggest angle here? Well, the biggest angle. What's the biggest angle? It's 100 degrees. It's that Y, right? So what do? I look across from it, and that's the biggest side. And you just said it. Say it again, Neil. XW. And of course, what's the next one? It'd be opposite the 50, so that would be what? YW. Okay? Don't put 3 points here. Don't just put 1 point. You got to put 2 and put the little line segment thing over top of it. That's how you show the length of a side. Or, yeah. That's how you show the line segment, I should just say. Does that make sense? What do you think the next problem is going to be? Same thing, but I'm not going to have what? I'm not going to have the picture of the triangle, okay? I'm not going to have a picture of the triangle. So this would be what? What are we on now? 4? I think it's 4. Yep, so this says they give you triangle STU. And they tell you what these angles are. They tell you that angle S is 50 degrees. They tell you angle T is 70 degrees. They tell you that angle U is 60 degrees. What's the first thing I'm going to do? Am I just going to look at that and then put the sides in order right now? Yes? No? No. Okay? We talked about this earlier. So I'm going to do what to it? I'm going to draw it out. That's right. Okay? I got a 50, a 70, and a 60. So it's not going to be obtuse. Again, I don't have to be accurate with this. This is just so that I know what side is opposite what angle. That's the only reason I'm doing this. All right? Call it STU. Again, it doesn't matter where you put the S, the T, and the U. I'm going to put them right here. Does not matter. Let's fill in the stuff that we know. What do we know? I know angle S is 50, so I'm going to put a 50 right here. I know angle T is 70, so I'm going to put a 70 right there. And I know angle U is 60, so I'm going to put a 60 right there. So all I've done was just draw a picture to what they gave us, right? The information they gave us, I just drew a picture for that. Now it should be pretty easy. Again, I'm putting it in order. I'm putting the sides in order from the smallest to the largest, the shortest side to the longest side. So let's put it in order. What's the smallest angle, by the way? It's the 50, the S, right? So where do I look? I look opposite, okay? And it's TU. So TU would be the smallest side. Even though on my picture it kind of looks like the biggest side, doesn't it? But it doesn't matter because I just drew some random triangle, okay? Yeah, put the line over it. All right, so that's the shortest side. What's the next side? It'd be ST or TS, right? Because I'm looking at the 60, right? And then I look opposite. Everybody understand the side that's opposite the angle, right? Okay, that's why I'm drawing these arrows. So this is TS or ST. It does not matter what order you put it in. Could I have made this UT, the first one? Yeah, it wouldn't make any difference. TU, UT, ST, TS, doesn't make any difference, okay? And then what's the biggest one? It's SU. So we look at the biggest angle. Opposite that is SU. And there you go. That's my answer right there. Look, first 4 problems should be pretty easy for you. Would you agree? Yeah, I think so. Well, it could go either way. All right. Again, I haven't made the quiz up yet. So I might, listen, I might keep it smallest to largest. I might, okay? Depends how I feel, all right, when I'm making up the quiz. I'm going to make it up tonight. So I could go largest to smallest. So this would be small to large. What if I asked you to put it largest to smallest? What would you do? SU, ST, and TU. Yeah, so it should not be any more difficult, should it? It's just you got to be careful. You got to read the problem. Don't just look at it and like, oh yeah, this is one of those ones we did in class yesterday, and then just put it from smallest to largest, okay? Make sure you read the instructions and look to see which one it says. My guess, my gut feeling right now is maybe for one of these, like these, I might make you go small to large on this one, and then what do you think? Large to small on this one, okay? Or go the other direction. The first ones I could go large to small, and the second ones I could go small to large. You just got to be able to read and figure out which direction I want you to go. Everybody got that? It's fair enough, isn't it? Yeah. And I could have different numbers, all right? I probably will. Okay, I could have different numbers with this because I don't want to rehash exactly the same problems on a quiz, okay? I want you to think a little bit. But I'm pretty much giving you everything that you need to know today. So this is good for you to write this stuff down. All right, what's the next one? 5? All right. So what they're going to do is they're going to give you 3 sides of a triangle. All right. 5, 12, 13. Again, some of the problems on the quiz could be exactly. So I could give you these exact numbers, or I could switch the numbers up and give you something slightly different, okay? I might do a couple. I'll tell you right now, I might do a couple on there that are exactly the ones that we do today, but then I'd say the majority of them, I'm going to change the numbers around a little bit, all right? But they'll be the same kind of problem, though, the same exact style of problem, okay? All right, so what they ask you to do is they say, state if the numbers can be the measure of a triangle. Okay, so if, I'll just say, can they be a triangle? Can they, oh, that's a terrible H. Can they be a triangle? Well, I thought any three sides could be a triangle. Is that true, though? It's not true. You can't take any 3 sides and make a triangle out of it, all right? So can these make a triangle? Well, what's the rule? Do you remember what the rule is? I'm going to take the 2 what? Smaller ones. I take the 2 smaller ones, and what do I do to them? Add them up. Okay, so let's do that. And what does that become? Okay, actually, let's do this. Yeah, that's going to be 17. Now, when I add the 2 smaller ones together, they have to be, what do you think? Greater than, larger than the 3rd side. Is that true? Yes, this is true. So can you have a triangle with sides 5, 12, and 13? Absolutely. So what would you say? You would say yes. But I am not just going to accept, I didn't write it on here. I usually do. I'm going to say show y. Show y, which is this right here, okay? So you have to show me why. You can't just put yes, because look, it's 50-50, right? So I'm not just going to give you a 50-50, all right? I want to know why you know if that's a triangle or not. All right? So you show me that 17 is bigger than 13, you can now say that yes, it is a triangle. Everybody good? All right, number 6, it's kind of the same style of problem. They just give you some different numbers. They give you 7, 10, and 20. And again, I'll probably give you different numbers, but you got to know what to do. So what do we do with this? How do I know if this is a triangle? And tell me why. Add 7 and 10, right. Take the 2 smaller ones, okay? It's not always the first 2. It's the 2 smaller ones, because I might not put it in this order. Everybody got that? I may not put it in numerical order. So you take the 2 smaller ones and you add them up, and it should be greater than 20 in order for it to be a triangle. But is this? No, because 17, I'll do this, is not greater than what? 20. So is this a triangle? No, there's no way you can make a triangle. Say that? Yeah, you could do that. Or you could say it's less than if you want to. But I'd probably just put a slash through it and say it's not greater than, because that's what our test is. Our test is to see if the 2 smaller ones add up to be bigger than the 3rd one. Well, they don't, do they? The two smaller ones are not bigger than the third one, all right? So it's not a triangle. You cannot have a triangle. Does that make sense why, though? Because look, if I have, all these are kind of the same. I'm not going to. So if I had one that's 7 and one that's 10, is there any way that I could get this third side to be 20? If that's 7 and that's 10. There's no way, because the 20 is going to be a lot longer. Look, I can extend this as far as I want. Is there any way that that third side could be a 20? No, there's no way, because I don't have enough, right? I only got a 7 and a 10. There's no way I can get a 20 out of that. Does it make sense? So that's why this little rule works. We good? All right, we're more than halfway done the quiz. Who's got 100 so far on the quiz? Yeah? You better at this point, okay? They haven't been hard. They haven't been difficult. This one's, the math is not hard, but it's a little tricky to understand why we do this. So you're going to have to remember the little, I hate to say tricks, but you have to remember how to do this. So it says, find the range of possible lengths for the third side of this triangle. So they're going to give you two sides, 7 and 13. All right, so here we go again. Look up here with these pens. All right, oops. Ugh. Getting all excited, dropping everything. All right, let's try this one more time after I picked up my pen. All right, this is 7, this is 10. Pretend. Let's see, do I have something that's a little bit longer than this? All these pens are kind of the same length. If I had a, how about this flag? Nah, it's way too long. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Is that shorter? Everything's like the same length. That's okay. Pretend this is 7. Pretend this is 10. All right? Or sorry, 7 and 13. Okay? Pretend this is 7. Pretend this is 13. What you want to do is figure out the possible length for that third side. All right? So first of all, if I stretched it all the way, what would that actually come out to be? If this is 7 and this is 13, this would be 20, right? Now, I can't have a triangle if it's all the way completely flat like this, can I? Right? I got to tilt it up a little bit to make a triangle out of it. So what just happened to our 20? It became what? Bigger or smaller? It became smaller, right? So it can't be 20 or bigger. Would you agree? The third side? Okay. So if I keep going like this, it's the third side's getting what? Smaller, 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 smaller. Now I'm going to pretend this is 7 and this is 13. Okay, so it's a little shorter. You don't see the other end of this, all right? So look at this. So watch. If I go like this, if they're completely right on top of each other, what's the length between here? Again, this is 13, this is 7. What's that? No, this little bit right here. This little bit right here. That'd be 6. Exactly right. This would be 6. So it can't be 20, and it can't be what? 6, but it can be anything where? In between. That's right. Okay? Did that make any sense? All right? The math is easy, okay? It's just understanding. Exactly. So how did you get the 20 out of that 7 and that 13? You add them. So you go 7 plus 13 is what? 20. And then how did you get the 6 out of 13 and 7? You subtracted it. So take the 13, the bigger one, subtract 7, and that's 6. Now watch very carefully. This is something that I want you to write it down. I will only accept this answer. Everybody hear me? I'm going to write it a certain way. So that means I'm going to show you where we get this from. I think we might have done this back when I first taught it. I can't remember. So let's say I have a 6 here and I've got a 20 right there. So that means it's got to be somewhere between 6 and 20, right? It could be anything in between here. I'm not just going to pick one number. I need to show all the answers. So you could say like 10. Could the third side be 10? Yeah. Could the third side be 15? Yeah. Could the third side be 7? Yes. It could be anything between what? 6 and 20. So this is what we do. So x could be any number between 6 and 20. This is what we do when we graph. I'm going to put x, and I'm going to put less than, and then I'm going to put a 6, and I'm going to put a 20. What in the world does that mean right there? Well, this part right here makes sense. X has to be what? Less than 20. Would you agree with that? But look at this. This is written a little bit weird, but if you read it from right to left, x is what? From right to left. X is greater than 6. Would you agree that x has to be greater than 6 and x has to be what? Less than 20. That's what this little thing right here shows you. It shows you that x has to be less than 20 and x has to be greater than 6. This is going to be the only acceptable answer that you're going to get. It's not hard to get. How did you get the 6? You subtract. How did you get the 20? You added. And then you put an x in the middle, you put less than, boom, you're done. That's something you're going to have to practice a couple times before the quiz tomorrow, all right? Make sure you look at it. I mean, the adding and the subtracting, you don't have to practice that. That's super easy, okay? It's how we write the answer, okay? I think it's important that you write your answer like that. That's the most compact, easy way to write the answer. Everybody understand that, right? All right? Okay. Let's do one more like that. That was 7. Let's do another one. Let's say this is 8. 3 and 4. I'll give you like 15 seconds. Ready, go. Excuse me. Write your answer like this. I'll give you an extra 15. All right, so what's the two numbers? What are the two numbers that we're going to use? What's the smaller number? What's the smaller number? 1. How'd you get 1? Subtracted, right. What's the larger number? 7. So watch what I'm going to do. Everybody watch. 1, 7. So x has to be between 1 and 7, agreed? So I put the x in between 1 and 7. What symbol do I put here? I put less than here and less than there. But you might be thinking, well, wait a minute, I thought you said x has to be greater than 1, not less than. But if you read it from right to left, what does this say? X is what? Greater than 1, doesn't it? What does this one say from left to right? X is less than 7. You see it? So x could be any number. The third side of my triangle could be anything between 1 and 7. Right? And this shows you every number between 1 and 7 right there. Don't just pick a number. Don't just say 5. And you're like, you know, Mr. Hamrick, why'd you mark this wrong? 5 is between 1 and 7. Well, that's true, but that's not every answer. This right here is every single number between 1 and 7. That's what that represents. We good? Okay. We're almost done. 2 more. Let's draw a picture. They give it to you in the book. All right, and let's see. Take that to there, take that to there. And then let's take this one, like, I don't know, out to there. So they're not congruent to each other, okay? They're not exactly the same triangles. One looks a little different than the other. Again, it doesn't, even if they were congruent, we're going to say some stuff about it that makes it not congruent. All right, so that's what we start with right there. So number 9 on the quiz will say something like this. It'll say, says we're going to compare these two angles. So I put a little blank right there. We talked about this recently. When I compare two things, what could possibly be true about them? Like the length, all right? They could either be what? One could be equal to the other one. It could be less than the other one, or it could be greater than the other one. Everybody see that? So I got 3 choices here. I'm going to put either less than, greater than, or equal in that blank. So that thing right there is just a blank. All right, so angle ABD. And we'll look at the angles here in a second, but they got to give you some information. They can't just tell you that. But they tell you, this is what they tell you, that AB is 5. They tell you that BC is also 5. And they tell you, let's see, AB, BC, yep. They tell you a bunch of stuff. Put a comma in between each of these. They tell you that AD is 8. They tell you one more thing, that DC is 7. So am I just going to sit here and look at this and then just try to figure out my answer? Nope. What do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to take those lengths and put them where? Yeah, on the sides themselves, okay? Put them on the picture, okay? So let's put them on here. AB is 5, so AB, that's 5. BC is 5. That's BC right there, that's 5. AD is 8, so put that right there, and DC is 7. Okay? Everybody got it? Now, what's true about BD on both triangles? I don't know the length of it, but what's true about what's true about it? It's the same, isn't it? Everybody see that? Okay, so that's the same. So that's kind of important, all right? So what I have here, if you remember we talked about that hinge theorem thing? Yes? No? What about side-side-side inequality? You remember that, don't you? All right? So if you remember side-side-side inequality, I think that was from section 5.5. I know it was. What does that mean? It means if you have two equal sides on one triangle equal to two equal sides of another, or let's say it this way. If you have two sides of one triangle equaling two sides of another triangle, but the third side is unequal, all right? Do we have that situation here? I got this side that's equal to this side, right? 5 and 5. Yes? I got this side right here that's equal to them, each other. I don't know what the length is, but I know they're equal because they're shared by both of them. And I have an unequal angle, an unequal side. So AD is what compared to DC? It's bigger. So it's very similar to what we did before, but now we're dealing with two triangles, not just with one triangle. So if I have that, if I got a side and a side that are equal, and then I got a side and a side that are unequal, that means the angle opposite the bigger side is going to be bigger than the angle opposite the smaller side. So let's take a look. This is bigger than this. So what angle is opposite angle, or that side 8? It's that one right there. So that's bigger. Okay? You with me? 7, what's opposite that side 7? That one right there. So this one right here is the bigger one. This one right here is the smaller one. But what are they asking? They're asking to compare CBD. So what's CBD? CBD is the which one? The smaller one. Okay, so this one is smaller than ABD. So what do I write here? I put a less than symbol. Does that make sense? All right. So it's a little different than what we did before, because what we did before just dealt with one triangle and the sides and the angles in that one triangle. What are we dealing with here, though? We're dealing with how many triangles? 2 triangles. All right, but it's kind of the same. As long as you have two sides equal and these two sides equal, if this one is unequal, then you look opposite. That one is bigger than that one because 8 is bigger than 7. Got it? But you got to look at how they write it, though. They write CBD first. CBD is this angle, so this angle is smaller than that angle right there. So that's why you put less than. Might be the trickiest problem of the whole thing. Well, 9 and 10, because 10's pretty much the same thing. All right? Now, let's get rid of all this yellow. We're going to keep the same triangle situation. We don't change the picture at all, but we're going to change the information that they give you and what you're trying to figure out. Okay? So, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Let's go to V, and let's do that. There we go. Now I'm in white. So here's number 10. They tell you to compare line segment AB to, or side AB to side BC. All right, there's side AB, there's side BC. I just want to say, is this bigger than this one? Is it equal, or is it smaller? That's what I want to do. I got 3 choices. I got a 1 in 3 chance just to guess my answer. But you don't want to just guess your answer. You don't want a 33% chance to get this right. You want, what? 100% chance, don't you, to get this right? So let's know how to do it. So here's what they tell you. They tell you a couple things. They tell you that DC is 10. They tell you an angle. They tell you that angle ADB is 75 degrees. And they also tell you one more thing, angle BDC. Angle BDC is 72 degrees. All right? So, just like we did on the first one, we're going to mark up our picture, right? We're going to write that stuff on our picture so we know what's what. So DC is 10. So that's 10 right there. Yep. And then ADB is 75 degrees. ADB is 75 degrees. And then BDC, there's B, there's D, there's C. That's 72 degrees. Oh, I forgot one more. I was looking at this. I was like, man, I'm missing something. And yeah, I completely skipped that. They tell you that AD is 10 as well. I was wondering what was going on. All right. So they tell you that AD is also 10. Right there. All right, here we go. It's very, very similar to what we just finished doing. Okay, it's really close to what we just did. What do we know about BD? It's equal to itself, right? So look what I have. I've got two sides that are equal, 10 and 10, right? I got these sides that are equal, and I got BD is equal to BD. So I got two sides. So I got a side and a side. But look at the angle in between those two sides. One's bigger than the other, so they're not equal. So what do you think I called this? The side angle side what? Inequality. Again, this book used the hinge theorem and the converse of the hinge theorem, but I understand why they call it that. I get it. It's perfectly fine. But I think for high school students, I like this better because it makes more sense. All right, it shows you exactly what's happening here. All right. I don't know if that helps you or not, but I think it is. So what do we have? If this angle is bigger than this angle, have you figured it out yet? Then AB is the biggest side. Exactly right. So AB is bigger than BC. Is that how they have it written right here? Yep. AB is bigger, so we put greater than, and there you go. That's my answer. So my actual answer is this. There's really not much work to show. Okay, you can't really like do any math. All you can do is just draw on your picture, all right, and then look to see what sides or what angles are opposite. So really, you can just write down an answer. But again, let's be 100% sure we get the answer and not just take a wild guess and put it in there. What if this was not 72? What if it was 75? Then they'd be equal to each other. Very good. Then AB would be equal to BC. Everybody got that? Okay. Well, that's a pretty comprehensive review, don't you think? For just a quiz, all right? Normally, I don't review near that much for a quiz, but I did today because that's the only thing we have to do today. We're finished the chapter. So we'll take the quiz tomorrow, and then Monday and Tuesday, we're going to actually start Chapter 6, all right? And then Wednesday, we'll review for the test. We'll take the test Thursday and Friday of next week. Everybody cool? All right, that's it. That's all I got. This is on YouTube. If you missed something, you want to go back and see it.